What's up, everybody? We are back to cover another episode of From, and we are on episode 9, but it was more so, I think, just continuing conversations, more dialogue happening with different characters. Jim was finally decent in an episode, which makes me nervous because it's like, I don't know. It's something about the way they did his character. It just makes me think, okay, is he going to last this season? I don't know, but he was actually being decent. So shout out to Jim. But overall, I think the biggest thing that I just hated this episode was Elgin is literally the op and nobody knows it but us. And that is so hard, guys. It's so hard to just watch. And I'm like, Ellis, no, like, let's kick in this discernment. Like, this guy's the op. He has your girl locked up, and I just don't like it. But shout out to all the actors that bring this story to life every single episode. But let's get into the episode. I don't want to go through everything, but I definitely want to go through just highlights and anything that stood out to me. I like that Sarah heard from, the voices again. It seemed like it's been a while since that's happened. So I like that it's like, okay, no, she still has that ability or they still speak to her sometimes. So I think that was really cool that, well, it wasn't cool for her, but I think that was, dope that they kind of circled back there. And they basically were telling her, like, look, girl, tell Boyd that we're laughing at him once again. We have his daughter in law. You won't save her in time. And that makes sense because with the trailer, I was trying to figure out how did they even get to the point where they had a town meeting and Donna didn't snitch. But now, as we go through the episode, we see that Donna naturally had a change of heart. And just with her relationship with Fatima, she just decided, like, hey, like, I'm not gonna do that. So that worked out perfectly, I think. But it is crazy how Fatima is so close but so far. But what was really creepy is that the kimono lady like had her hand over Fatima's mouth and was basically making her be quiet. I would have passed out. I would have freaked out. It wouldn't have been anything good. Just because she's so creepy to me. She's really so creepy. And yeah, but I feel so bad for Fatima. Like, her stomach is growing, she's drinking blood. That was annoying too. Elgin is just, I don't know. It almost feels like we're missing something. It's like, I get that Elgin was seeing her, the kimono lady all along, but she's just now really starting to talk to him. But it feels like we're already to the point where he's just so locked in on, like, all right, bet, like, I got to do what she says. This is going to be good for everyone. But I wish we had a little bit more insight into, what was said, if anything additional was said. I don't know. Elgin, I don't mess with Elgin. He's the op at this point. And I see why Victor said, I don't know if that was this season or last season, but he was like, I don't trust him. And I totally understand why, because Victor was picking up on something. But pretty much this episode is the whole town looking for Fatima. They're splitting up in pairs. So we just kind of see everyone just, doing that. I think what was interesting this episode for sure was seeing Victor trying to chop down the faraway tree. I get it. He feels just so guilty over telling his mom about what was going on. And she went out there and in return, she didn't come back. So I could see, like, that all made sense to me. I'm glad that they kind of found a way to address the boy in white being older because we knew that he was looking different. So I like that they just kind of made that all make sense of, like, oh, things are changing around here. So I'm changing too. But yeah, I guess. So that was interesting. I was hoping that more was going to come out of that conversation with the boy in white, but I feel like he was just like, y'all didn't listen to me before, y'all messed it up, y'all will learn. I was hoping that there will be a little bit something more with that conversation, but it is what it is. But it was interesting seeing the other, I don't know her name, the other Nkui kid leading Tabitha and Julie basically to where Fatima was. I thought that was pretty cool of, like, okay, they're trying to help, they just look creepy and crusty and weird. So I thought that was pretty interesting. We see a conversation with Jade and Henry. I just feel like I could see Henry not lasting long on the show. I just get that sense. I could be mistaken, but I don't know. It's like they really need a family therapist, but it's no time for that, basically. So he's just talking with Jade. I love any scene with Jade. Like it's always a plus. I am happy that Julie decided to tell someone about what she experienced. With this show, we've always hoped for more and more dialogue. So that's always good. So I'm happy she told someone, especially one of her parents, preferably Tabitha, just about what she was experiencing. I wish they could have talked in more detail about exactly what she heard with her and Victor down in the caves, like Tabitha and Victor. That way the mom can make that connection of, whoa, I really said that bar for bar, word for word. Like, but maybe that's just going to take longer and manifest more so in the next season of, is it time travel? Is it not? Oh, wait, whoa, how did you know that happened? And, things like that. So I don't feel like it was really clear, really, as to what it was, and that the fact that it wasn't a dream. So I think that's just going to take longer. Overall, what I found really interesting in this episode is we saw different points of time. I think it was two, but different points of time where Tabitha would touch Victor, and it was giving That's So Raven for sure. Like it was some kind of moment where they didn't show us what was happening, but we knew something was happening to Tabitha. Sure enough, at the very end, which was the best part of the episode, it was that moment where it feels like, and it's looking like, reincarnation, which is something that everyone's been talking about all season as far as theories. And at first I was like, oh my God, she's Eloise. She's Eloise. Like that's all I kept thinking. And then it's like, no, I think this is giving Miranda. At first it was giving Eloise when Eloise was in the shot and the, flashback. But once it was just Miranda by the tree with Smiley, that's when it was like, whoa, what is going on? So I wish this episode had a little more of that, but I just hope that the next episode is longer. I hope that they give us all that they got. Smiley is really so creepy, so I'm glad he's gone. And I see a lot of people saying in the comments, we didn't know that they could run, we never seen that. But I think it's because they never had to run. I think it was the thrill of the chase. I think that, especially in season one, I don't know if that was season two as well, but we've seen them on top of the roof before. Like we've seen them kind of, we know they have other abilities in my mind. They just may not need to exercise it that often. So I think they are really strong. I think they can be very fast. We just don't see it often. So I wasn't that surprised by that. Lastly, because of how important it was to stop her from getting in that tree, they had to speed it up. I think they just had to speed it up to make sure, like, okay, girl, no, we need you gone. We have stuff to do. So I would love to know your thoughts on this episode. I would love to know your theories and what you would like to see about the next episode. I want to know, do you think that Fatima will make it out of this season alive? I'm not as hopeful. I would hope so. To be honest, I was nervous that Elgin was going to do something to Ellis. Every time Ellis had his back turned, it was just giving me major anxiety. But what do you think is going to happen with Fatima? What do you think is her fate? I'm sure she's going to have this baby or whatever that is, but do we think that she's actually going to survive this season? That's something that I am really curious about. And what do we think about what Tabitha is going through? Do we think is reincarnation? Do you think she is Miranda in a soulful way, or do we think she's just able to tap into her memories somehow? What do we think about that? I would love to know your thoughts. All right. See you guys in the next video. Bye.